instrument maker before I became a physicist. And I know what it means to be a good scientific instrument maker, and John Hutchinson is there. He's a good one.
Let's go to Jerry in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Hey, Jerry, thanks for calling.
Hey, good morning. I was just wondering, do you honestly think the power elite of this country or the world will let free energy surface? Or will the inventors have heart attacks or car accidents or something like that?
That's the $64,000 question, Bob.
That's an excellent question. That's a wonderful question. You know, I tell you, I'm not one generally to believe in conspiracies, but I do know for a fact that there is active suppression of free energy by certain individuals who I believe are probably paid by some other group. I don't know who. And I don't know who. What, you know, your question is excellent. I don't know the answer. It's not only active suppression, it's all, but it is money. It is money, money, money. There's no doubt about it. And, well, you know, there were free energy devices. Dr. Moray had a 50 kilowatt tabletop unit in the 1930s. So, whatever happened to that? And the government, the patent office wouldn't give him a patent, and the government said it was a private industry matter. And so he gave hundreds of demonstrations, and it was well documented, but he, you know, it went to the grave with him, most of it. Yep. Because, you know, I tell you, this is not easy physics. Physics itself is pretty tough. But this scalar physics, when you start getting negative mass electrons that obey a different kind of laws of physics, or if imagine a zero energy particle that carries momentum, you know, how do you deal with these things? It's very complicated, and there are gauge transformations and phase space calculations, and you have to get the frequencies right and the voltage is right, and the capacitor breakdown voltage, everything's got, and you got to use the right dielectrics in your capacitor, on and on and on. So this man's question, thank you, sir, is a good question, and I don't know. I hope people will really be alerted to this and do what they can to get free energy going for this country and the world.
Let's go to Janesville, Wisconsin, east of the Rockies. Terry, you're up with us on Coast to Coast.
I understand what you're saying about free energy and the successes it could create and how it could eventually help everyone in mankind worldwide. But I can't see how free energy could save our country for the simple fact that we're in a huge recession and our national reserve is probably debunked by this point in time. And yeah, it's like I think that our national reserve, the way everything is, and they're totally denying the recession we're in is so huge, and the economic effect is so overwhelming. Everybody's in denial just because the media just is not giving the full effect of what's really happening around us.
You're 100% right. You know, I've read the New York Times for 20 years, and the reporting, I'm sorry, I wish it weren't, what I'm about to say weren't true, but it gets worse and worse and worse. I can't even understand the headlines sometimes. And they report soccer matches and football games and operas and all kinds of things on the front page. When we got really fundamental, serious problems, as this man says, right at the core of our country, we're at risk for something worse than the Great Depression. I'm certain of it. You know, if we don't, my opinion is we've got maybe a year to really start turning things around dramatically, or we're headed. And these politicians, you know, they don't get it. They, you know, George, if you start maxing out your credit card, or if you start putting too much on your credit card, you cut down. So do I, right? You stop spending so much. But these guys in Washington, they keep spending more and more and more.
I mean, it's like they pick it off a tree, isn't it, Bob?
Well, they're printing it now, but basically the same thing. You know, they're just, well, what's going to happen is the currency is losing a lot of value, as you know. Gold is going up, the euro is going up. I don't know when the dollar will no longer become the world currency, but it's going to happen, I believe. And so we are in serious trouble. And, you know, we can't sit around and watch American Idol. We have to do something. And listen, George, you know this and I know this. A housewife in Minnesota or a paralyzed veteran in a veterans hospital can do a lot. And I want to say thank you to our veterans, too, especially Marine Corps, but all of you. And you've got a tough job, and I spent 6 years in the Navy, but I'll tell you, I'm no hero. And like you guys in there that have been in Iraq and Afghanistan.
That's true. Toronto, Ontario. Sam, a few minutes here. Go ahead, Sam.
Hello, how's everybody tonight?
Okay, Sam.
Good.
I have a question. I've been looking a while for a way to build the free energy machines, and the ones that I tried on the internet never worked. I was just wondering if you know an effective energy machine that I could build, or how to get the plans for it, or where to do that.
If you would, well, I say there's on the internet. If you look under SEC, that's Spatial Exciter Coherence. Dr. Ronald Stifler, Stifler Scientifics, sells devices, but you have to be engaged in research. He won't give them. He builds them special for individuals. Mm-hmm. But this is something that's already sort of already tested and works. And it's a free energy device, but you have to give it a little power. It puts at maybe 100 watts of power and consumes 0.6 watts, according to my analysis, something like that. It uses something called an Abramenko plug. This is very sophisticated engineering. I would not recommend that a typical person try to build a free energy device because it isn't easy at all. You really have to get the physics just right. And the thing about the physics is that you're not going to be able to find this in a textbook. You can study the patents of Stan Meyer, but that's pretty sophisticated too, and you really need to know about gauge transformations. This is not amateur hour exactly, but I don't want to. Amateurs can do a lot. Amateur astronomers have discovered many things,
including asteroids.
Including asteroids, right? And and amateur scientists like John Hutchins, though I don't want to call him an amateur scientist. Listen, George, if I could give a Nobel Prize to anybody right now, including myself, I would give it to him.
Okay, Bob, we're out of time. I want to thank you. Website, drkunz.com. Keep in touch, Bob, all right?
Okay, George, you take care.
All right, he does just great work, and I just like his mindset. I really do. Our next Coast to Coast program, Tom Horn joins us. We're going to be talking about the Nephilim stargates, and I'll tell you what, he's got an incredible story to tell. And then on Thursday, Thanksgiving night, Glynis McCants joins us for a couple hours, the numbers lady, plus another surprise guest. For Dan Galante, Tom Danheiser, Lisa Lyon, Lex Lonehood, Sean Ladesseur, Ross Mitchell, George Nappy, and Pundit and Art Bell, I'm George Norrie, somewhere out there on Coast to Coast AM. We'll see you on our next edition. Until then, be safe, everyone.